Hi guys and welcome. So what I'm just going to do is go over this like scorecard. Got to allow every visit. Oh hey, someone's here. If you have any questions, just let me know. I wonder how I got myself on the screen here. Just going to pin myself first. Okay, great. Okay, I'm just going to go over this new scorecard. I kind of made up. I was using it's one I kind of made a while ago, but I was using AI to make it look nice. Now I've been literally, what a waste of 15 minutes, guys. Focus on what you're good at and then let other people focus on what they're good at, because I was to spend 20 minutes through with AI trying to put it on my website so you could fill this in straight away, but I would have just been better off. I'll just pay someone to do that job. Um, yeah, there's a thing of don't make a job easier than it needs to be. And that was the same. Like AI can help you, but then like, what the hell am I trying to paste in code for? Anyway, lesson learned again. That's 20 minutes I'm not getting back. But anyway, let's go through it, right? So what I did with this was I came up with, I love the idea of scorecards, or yeah, I love the idea of scorecards because what they give you is you can hear information. Like I know, like say with Tobacco Whereabouts, I'm trying to learn more about business and stuff, and you can hear it and you can know like instinctively what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing, but then like it's kind of hard to know what you should do. Like it makes sense, but it's like a quiz, it's easier to see, or a scorecard, it's easier to see what not you're poor on, and then you can focus on that. So this is something I wish I was kind of trying to come up with AI one for more in the business. Like you have all these other things done, because yeah, it can be kind of hard to know what you should be focusing on. So I'm just going to go through this scorecard now. I'm meant to have an interview with Peter Lynch. He is in Portugal at the moment, taking a well-earned break with his girlfriend. So I don't want to kind of keep hassling him. I might get on during the week again, and we'll get that interview done. Okay, but let's go through this first. So I have one on race prep and nutrition as well, but I'll do running performance first. So the first question I have is scheduled training. So the way the scorecard I have it done is there's kind of 4 levels. So 1 would be the worst level, and then 4 would be the best. And then like you can kind of go ahead. I'll put in the show notes. Look, it will be everardpilates.com slash running scorecard. So it'll be everardpilates.com slash running scorecard. Okay, hopefully I'll get this. I'll try to get someone to put it on the website for me pretty quickly. Okay, so scheduled training, right? The first one, I I have no written schedule that I follow. I train sporadically and often miss workouts because things in life pop up. If that'll be kind of the worst, that you don't have a schedule. Second, I generally know what I do each week, and it's not written down and things come up, but over 50% of the time I get my workouts done that were planned for. So that one's like, maybe it's not written down as much, but you like inherently have an idea. You maybe do your workouts on, or your sessions on, a Saturday and a Wednesday or a Tuesday, and then you do a long run on a Sunday, and for the most part you're kind of covering like 50% or over it. You're coming it could be on and off, like, but you at least have some kind of plan. And then number 3 is I have a schedule, but it can often be interrupted, and I don't forward plan for this. So if you have, like, I have my schedule written down, which is great, but the thing you're not doing is maybe you're not being realistic with that. Like that, you're like, okay, well, I have it written down, but I have a session on Saturday, and like, well, I have a communion I have to go to, and it's like, well, I haven't really planned for that, so I'm just going to miss that, or I'll just go for an easy run that day instead. Now, things can come up, but what you should be able to do is like, okay, let's do that session on Friday instead then, and then, or it's like, look, I'm busy. I'll have to miss that day, but it's like you're judging this stuff as you go. And then lastly is I have a written schedule that I follow over 90% of the time. If something comes up, I change the schedule around so that I know what I'm doing each day before the week begins. So you want to just click 1, 2, 3, or 4 then for that scheduled training. And why I have that as the first question is I think like having a structure helps so much with the training that you're going to do, because it's like the fatigue that you have if you're waking up every day thinking, what am I going to do today, is massive. Whereas if you have it all written down, you know what days you're resting, you know what days you're that are harder, you know what days are easier. It's much easier to kind of like fit your life around the plan then, or adjust things accordingly. So I think it's like one of the most important things that you have is like a written plan. You have that kind of you have that, you know what days you're running, you know what days you're resting, etc. Okay, so the next one again is kind of structured training, but it's more related to your structure in your week. So the first thing is we should have a kind of a written plan written down of what days we're training. The second thing is we want to make sure that we're not just doing the same type of training every day. So the structured training on this one is I do the same type of run or distance every day. If you just have the same loop that you run, I sometimes and do that one if you have rest days. But if you're running, you're just doing a 5K, doing a 10K, etc. I sometimes vary the training I do, but it's sporadic and not really planned. It's more how I'm feeling. Now it's better because at least then it's not like that same constant. There is a bit more variety in your training, but it might be like, well, I go a bit harder when I'm feeling good. I go a bit easier when I'm feeling not great. It's not the worst thing you can do. Just going out and do the same every time you just go out doing the same run is the well, obviously if you're not training, but we're not catering to the person who's not going out. But again, it should be more written down. Number 3 is I have set workout days, Pilates days, and long runs in my week. And then, which is brilliant. And then, but lastly, for the structure, is like I have everything in level 3, but I also have a yearly plan that builds up to racing. So obviously it's brilliant if you have a set weekly schedule, like as you said, that you know on Saturdays and Wednesdays, kind of like the thing, but before that, like you know what, like you have a written schedule. You could have a written schedule of like, or just kind of instinctively know that I run on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, which is brilliant. But if it's the same type of run, you'd give yourself maybe a 4 on the first question, but I'd only give myself a 1 on this question if it was just the same run each time. If it's like, you know, I do my park run on a Saturday, I do a long run, and I do 1 session in the week with an easy run, great, that's a 3. But the best way, what you want is that we have periodized approaches. And what I mean by that is that there's different times, like I'm coming now into like a racing block. Okay, so I would have done like the streets of Kilkenny. And like in other years, then I would do the rest of that series. And like I would race into the summer, but then I know like in August, I'm going to take a downtime. Like it'll be the same now. I'll take a downtime in August. So I'll take, say, 2 weeks off in August. So maybe like 10 days with no running, another 10 days of like light running, gym, cross training or swimming, something like to stay active, get myself moving again. Yoga, Pilates, that kind of stuff. And then I'll be back into like a block where there won't be any races, but it'll be like just build that aerobic base, get that like, yeah, get that aerobic base, get that strength up. Like maybe I can focus a bit more on my gym here with some slight strides. Then I'll be into again more of a specific phase for maybe like say 2 months, but there might be a couple of races thrown into that, like longer races. And then we can come back into like a racing phase again. So that would be number 4, would be like, look, you have periods. Say if it's a 5K, it's like, all right, spring, summer, I do a little 5K. So I'll have 4 5Ks over the period of 2 months. And that's then I'll take a little break. and then I might go for something longer, like a half marathon or a 10K block, or it might be another 5K block, but we'll do 6 weeks now of base training again into more like specific training for like say 4 weeks, and then we'll go back into a racing block. So that allows us to absorb the training we've done. It then allows us to get the best out of that. Okay. And again, I love these because it kind of shows you, it's like, okay, what pits could I pick up on? And if people have other comments on what they would do, I'd love to hear them. Individuality of training, then it's like I have no idea. So I have no idea of what pace or heart rate I should go at. I just go hard or the same pace all the time. So again, I've had friends who they just go out for 10K and they just basically run a 10K as hard as they can, or a 5K as hard as they can. Not even like a race, but it picks up and direct at the end. It's not a good idea for like several reasons. One, it's daunting to get out. Like I knew one guy, he was only training twice a week, and we put him on a training plan using heart rates. He got up to 4 or 5 times a week because like subconsciously, like he has obviously his young kids and all, but like subconsciously it's hard to get out the door if you know you're going to have to like kill yourself. Whereas if you know it's just an easy run today, like on my heart rate, or it's even like a session, but it's only like a zone 3 type session. So it's like, it's controlled. I'm not going to be like wrecked for the day. Then it's not as big a deal to get out for 40 minutes or 50 minutes in the morning, or to do a little bit more. Whereas like if you're literally basically racing every time you head out, it's you're like, how many times are you going to do that before, like even subconsciously you're like, oh, or you're going to be wrecked the next day. Where if you run at an appropriate level, you feel okay the next day, you can get out then take a rest day. It's easier to build up. And then he ran brilliantly. Like he just wanted to beat his brothers, like run 23 minutes for 5K. I think he's running 24 and he's run like 20 something now. And it makes sense. Like he's able to get out for more runs, but the runs are more appropriate. Okay, it's number 2 then. I calculate my zones off paces I've run for different distances, either say like your half marathon pace, your 5K, your 10K pace. And that's what I go off. So if I'm doing a marathon type session, I worked out what my marathon pace was and I do that. So that is a lot better than just randomly going what feels hard, feels easy. But this will surprise people. It's because number 3 is I go off paces on my watch to judge my heart rate zones. I use heart rate rather than pace to guide most runs. People are like, well, why are you using like a Garmin, what the Garmin says my heart rate should be if I did like that Garmin test, versus like, well, I've actually run this time in the half marathon or a 10K or a 5K. Why would I not use those? The reason is that like in a race, especially if you've tapered and everything's gone well, it's like that was your peak performance. So taking that as it's good to have those times, but taking that as like, this is how I feel normally, you can overinflate the times you should be running in training when you're tired, when you're not tapered, when you're not as motivated, or like there's not the adrenaline of the crowd or whoever to push you on. And then the other thing is, going off paces doesn't allow you to adapt for like fluctuations in tiredness. You could be carrying a little bit of sickness, or you could be tired, where if you're using heart rates, like say even if you have the exact pace, so say like you're doing 5-minute Ks for lactic threshold. So if you're going out, you're doing 4 by 6 minutes at 5-minute Ks. Let's even do it more. Let's just say 5 by a K at 5-minute Ks. Okay, so you do your 5 now, and you judge that lactic threshold off your half marathon time, or your 10-mile time, or whatever one, even your 10K time. The problem with just having that is, well, say if it's windy, or say it's really early in the morning, or you're actually tired, or you're a bit run down, a 5-minute K can feel way harder that day than it did when you run it in a race, when you were tapered. So only using that, it's like you're not allowing for like natural day-to-day, week-to-week variations that'll happen. versus say if you took the heart rate zone, say if you took the heart rate that you were able to sustain on average during the 5K, or you use your Garmin, they have like little like lactic tests that you can do on them, and it says that's your threshold heart rate. Say you're tired and say that heart rate is 170 and that's what you normally run 5-minute Ks at. If you're tired, that heart rate will just be, you'll be running at 170 because that's what you're meant to run at, but the pace will be 5-minute 10 per K. So like grand, like who cares? Like you're getting the appropriate like physiological stimulus that you should get then. The time is arbitrary. Like the time is, it is what it is. It's just a random thing we've chosen, you know, or what we did in a race. So, or vice versa, say you're feeling class and you're running 170, that could be 4-minute 50s. And you're hoping that over time that kind of levels out so that you're getting a really specific, appropriate stimulus. And then number 4 is I'd have a lactic test, and I use like a heart rate strap, or I use the arm strap. Don't use the wrist strap. It's crap. When you go harder, because the connection isn't great. So you need to use a heart rate strap or a wrist strap. Now, when I'm running easy, I don't use any of this. I just go on feel for running easy. But you might be someone who goes too hard, and you might need to. I've never been accused of going too hard in my life when running. So it doesn't, like, I need to wear the heart rate strap to make sure if I'm doing a zone 2 or a zone 3 run, I actually get into that zone. But have the heart rate strap before you do the test. Do the test. They're about 150, 100 euros. If you did one in your life, you'd have the results for the rest of the time. But that's the best way. And then you're using the heart rates that allow for those day-to-day fluctuations. There's one person here. I don't know if you have any questions or comments on those first ones before I move on. I'm going to take stony silence as no. Okay, so right, next one then is accountability. So I have one would be I have no accountability with my training. If I didn't train, no one would notice. 2 is I have some accountability with friends that I train with. That's actually great. You know, someone who you can ring for a run. We always say like a run shared is a run halved. It feels like if I run with the guys, it feels like a 60-minute run feels like 30 minutes. I have accountability with a coach or someone I report my training to who would notice if it's not done. So we check in on people's training. We're not like a full-time coach, so I'll go there. And then, but it's like if you're using our final surge, we're able to see what you're doing during the week. We'll just check in of like, yeah, look, it seemed to all go well, or you didn't get as much done this week. What happened? We do it in the Pilates as well. We give people shout outs just so it's like they have an awareness of like, well, someone's checking in, you know, and other people are commenting that they got their Pilates in, and you're hoping you're going to guilt them into it, doing the right thing. And then lastly, obviously, it's like I have a coach who actively monitors my training, gives feedback on sessions, adjusts my plan to how I'm progressing. We'll adjust it slightly, but that's more of your one-to-one coach. Yeah, so like having some accountability, someone like to make sure that you're able to chat to or support, etc. I think is a good idea. Having a friend, having someone just like that, it's, yeah, just to make sure that you keep your motivation, or that it's just a good habit that's forming. It's an easier way of doing it. Okay, so they're kind of the ones, if I was looking at it, like, do you have a plan like written down? In your plan, is there varied training? Does that training look at a kind of yearly structure? When you're basing your paces in that training, how do you do it? Do you just randomly, do you go off complete off feel, like you're kind of going hard a lot of times, or going super easy? Or do you calculate it off your paces? Do you calculate it off your Garmin heart rates? I would say that's better than just paces. And then lastly, did you get like a lactic test to base it on? And 4, do you have accountability? Do you have someone like checking in or checking how the training is going to give that piece of advice? You know, like we're here as well. In ours, we give people advice and stuff like that to make sure everyone's going okay. Okay, and then additional training or running economy. is now we're moving on to like, what are the other things that you can do outside of the structured running? Now, again, like I was just making these ones all up. So if there's other ones on the training, I'd love to hear it. Like if you think I'm missing something in your training week that you should be looking at or is an important category, I'd love to hear it. Okay, additional training, running economy. Okay, so there's three things that we said before influence running performance. One is your lactic threshold. It's like what percentage when you're running can you stay aerobic rather than going into anaerobic. Two is your VO2 max, like how much oxygen can you take in is going to be a big determining factor. Now it's harder to change that, to be fair. You can change your lactic threshold, hence why I look at it. But and then last is running economy, like how smooth are you at the same amount? So look, if you have like a big lung capacity, you can take in a lot of oxygen. And then with the oxygen you have, you're very efficient with it, that like you can run at like a higher percentage of your max and still be aerobic. And then lastly, at that higher percentage of your max with a lot of oxygen in, you can run smoothly. So you're using less energy to do that. That's the three things. If it was a car, it's like, okay, how big the engine is and how much like fuel is in the tank, the VO2 max, how efficient, like when you're going at like 120, is that still low revs, barely using some of your fuel? And then lastly, like, are the tires pumped up? Is everything streamlined so that it's not being, there's no like significant energy drag? So it's the running economy. It's like can you be smooth running so it's taking less energy to do that running? Okay, and we can do things in our week to improve that. So if you don't do anything in your week apart from your runs, you're not really improving your running economy. Second would be if I do a warm up before my workouts that includes drills or strides. So like high knees, even just like if you didn't do that, but you do some like strides before you start. Doing faster running gets you more efficient for slower running. You know, because you're trying to go faster, it's getting you like more on your toes, more using your muscles. Three is I do a warm up or sports Pilates or skipping or strides at least once per week. So you're doing something once per week. That could be like your drills and your strides, your sports Pilates. Skipping is a great one because it gets that like contact and it's a self-limiting exercise. If you can't skip correctly, you just keep hitting the bar. Or you might do like strides after a normal run. So say for someone to get a 3, I would look at they do their strides and everything from 2, and they also either do sports Pilates, which is improving the strength, improving your core so you're more solid. They do maybe like skipping after a run, or they may do some strides after a run, not on the day of they've done their workout, on another separate day. And then for a 4, I do everything level 3 at least once a week. So if you're doing every one of these once a week, I could be better. I do my Pilates. I need to get back into strides. And this is what it's about. It's like, you know what? I need to boost that one back up. Okay. And then sports Pilates or strength is actually good on both counts. It helps with running economy, but it also can help with injury prevention. And I've broken injury prevention into 2 things. So the first one is kind of rehab kind of stuff. So if you don't do any formal training outside of running, as we said, running is really good for cardiovascular fitness, burning calories, but it's not good for activating the muscles. You need something in the week that activates the muscles, gets those working, so it takes pressure off the passive structures that get overloaded: plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, knee pain, hip pain, SI joints, hamstring tendinopathy. It's not like it's hamstring tightness, hamstring strain, never a hamstring tear, never a quad tear. Calf tears me a little bit more because we're not using the rest of the leg. We're just like landing, and the calf is the first thing absorbing it with the Achilles. So do you do some exercises, but it's sporadic? So you have like maybe some exercises, like say like a little 5-minute routine that you might do before a run or after a run, but you do it sometimes, you don't do it other times. then if you do those exercises every run, or you do sports Pilates, I look to get, if you're getting about 45 minutes of exercise in a week, and then this one is probably a bit biased, to be fair. If you're doing that, or you're like rehab exercises, I might change that too. But the last one then be, I follow a structured sports Pilates program at least once per week, specifically designed around running. So why I'm saying that one is, I always get like questions about, like I get questions about a lot, like, sorry, I didn't even do that much today. My brain is like just fried. But what's the best exercise to do for a runner? And we have like 50, look, there's a lot of them kind of repeat each other, but I have different classes for the guys every week. And it's not, honestly, it's not even because, like, there's definitely like teams, like we're working the core, we're working the glutes, we're working balance, we're working like the posture muscles or the upper back. So we're hitting the same kind of muscles, but honestly, then like say abductor strength, it's not as important, but you want to have at least a couple of classes in, you know, once every 8 weeks we'll do that, or we'll have a mobility class, or we'll have more of a focus on core, or, you know, like, yeah, why I'm saying that is sometimes, like, let me just show you. A lot of times people are kind of saying that, we need to close that one off. Okay, like, so this one was like a Pilates ring class. So like using a kind of foam roller. So why I'm saying this is that a lot of times people, like, I'm just going to show, like, so here's one. It's a variation on, so it's like, say, hip mobility, but it's going to be a slightly different hip mobility because it's rotating through the joint than just doing the world's greatest stretch that we do a lot, you know, or we're doing like a pedal, like a downward dog. Then what was that one went into? Probably into like a crawl variation. Here we're doing a kind of running man. Here we're doing like adductor squeezes on the thing, and kind of high end. Now this is their advanced class, to be fair. You have an easier class each week. Say, yeah, that kind of, we call it back Pilates, or easier class. So that'll be this class, but just a little bit easier. We have a 20-minute class. So then you have a hip focused class, just get the hip moving a bit better. Different type of foam roller class. Then this one was more like focus on using the foam roller like Pilates ring. Here's a mixed bag belter. It'll have like some weights in it and just a load of different type of exercises. Let me see what else. Then we have performance pyramid. Again, is just like kind of different variations on stuff that we're doing. Core and glutes then, because we haven't focused on that as much. Pilates circuit's going to be like, when you're tired, can you just keep repeating the moves? Like, so a little bit more muscular endurance. That's a random one, but like, again, some like single leg bridging now. We're pushing up. Okay, so we're doing into like a deadlift with a backward lunge. Then say, what's next? Why I'm saying that is that, like, there is, when there are exercises I like. I like the single leg deadlift. I like bridging to a certain extent. But when people are like, what's the one exercise I can do? It's like, it's not like one. It's like, you need to be like, it's like plates. You need to be, okay, these ones need a lot of spinning, but you need to spin this one a little bit, and you need to spin this one a little bit. You know, you wouldn't think you'd need that shoulder stuff, but if you're like hunched on the upper back, like, you know, like that's going to affect down the chain. You know, if you're like really hunched here, well, it's harder to get open and move, then open up the hips. But like, if someone said like, I have 5 minutes to do rehab exercises, or 10 minutes, like, what ones should I do? It's like, that's just not going to come into it, like, you know, or like an adductor one we were doing there, or, you know, because like, well, if you only have 5 minutes, do these ones. So, you know, it's just that thing of like, for 4 out of 4. And look, I put it in, obviously I'm biased, I do the classes, but it is, it's a question I always get where people are like, um, yeah, people are kind of like, oh, what are the exercises? Like it's like we have like I have one class. It's a different. We have a different class every week. Like some of them, as I said, some of the moves are the same, but it's like the classes are never the exact same. Actually, I tell a lie. I love the squat shakers. So I've done that class. It's not a repeat of the class. It's me repeating the class 3 times. Like I've just done it again. The only thing I had was I had changed the class for them that week. And when I was going into it, I was like, do you know what? This isn't as good as the original. I'm just going to do the original again. So, and I don't think they mind if you haven't seen it in like 10 weeks. So, yeah, idea for total injury prevention, I think you want to be like tipping up everything, just get like super strong on everything. And that's not just doing the same exercises every day. Now, saying like a tree is still really good if you're artist doing your 5 or 10 minutes of exercises and you find them good. Okay. Then injury prevention, like stretching or foam rolling. So if I don't do any form of recovery work outside of running, so you don't do anything, I do some stretching or foam rolling, but again, it's sporadic. I do at least 5 to 10 minutes twice a week. And then I do 5 to 10 minutes of stretching or foam rolling 4 times a week. So what I'll do is I have my hockey ball, my massage ball in my on my bedside locker. I have one down in the sitting room. I'll always like just spend when I'm reading my book 5 minutes, just like releasing off my hips. If something's sore, I'll throw it down to the bottom of the bed and release off my calves, etc. I must actually just try to do that. Do a video when I won't be in my bed, but I'll just lie on a thing and just show you where I move the thing to. But like, yeah, again, if you're doing that little and often makes a big difference. Okay. This one is totally biased. Sorry. So I obviously own the Back-A-Wear, like I'm creating this Back-A-Wear belt. So look, I didn't come up with that for no reason. I think it is important that people have good technique. But like I'd say if I didn't own this, I mightn't have put this question in. So technique. So form is not something I think about. I don't know if I'm doing exercises correctly. Is one. I'm aware that I should have good form and generally try to think about it, but I might not always get it right. 3 is I'm conscious of my form during exercise and I stop if I lose it. I feel my muscles should be that. I feel the muscles that should be working. So what that means is when you're doing like say a single leg deadlift, you're feeling that in the glute and the hamstring. You're not just feeling that in your back and continuing on anyway. Okay, and I take proactive steps to ensure good technique and constantly monitor this. I always feel the correct muscles working, confirm my technique is correct. Look, that's look, if you ask a butcher for diet advice, he's going to say you should eat meat. And if you ask me, I'm going to say a good technique is important. A butcher probably went into it, or if you ask a vegan, they'll probably say you should have a vegan diet. That's because they believe in that. You know what I mean? It's not even just they're not being a vegan for no reason, even though it mightn't be right. So like that's my take. So take that one with a pinch of salt. I'm trying to say like I have the Back-A-Wear belt. I've spent like it's actually insane how much I spent about 250,000 on that thing, which is mad when you start adding it all up. Now I'm doing that for a reason that I want to make it like I did. If I didn't think it was going to be a good thing, I wouldn't spend any money on it. But hey ho, just take it with a pinch of salt. But like I do think technique is important. Okay, and then varying exercises in your week. So I just do one type of training each week with little variation. I do one type of training, but the varied sessions within it, different paces, distances, or workouts, and that's really important. So it's like it's not just you're doing your tempo runs. It's like, can you do strides? Can you do hills? That'll change. That variation is great. So it's not the same part of the body that's getting hit the whole time. I vary the type of exercise I do each week, like a good mixture of cardio, strength, restorative exercises. So you're doing some of your yoga or your Pilates, you're doing maybe a strength session, you're doing some mix of your cardio. And then I have a fully periodized week with purposeful cardio, strength, mobility, recovery sessions planned in advance. And I probably, instead of a week, say like yearly plan, so that like you do have that time in the, as I said, like my August, and it could be even July, but definitely my August will be way less running. And then for 10 days, like the first 15 days in the month, and then the next 15 will be like way less running, but maybe 1 or 2 runs, and then like if we go on holidays, I'll go swimming. I hate swimming, but like I'll just do a 30-minute swim. I might do a yoga session. I might go more to the gym again. So like maybe 3 days in the gym, just varying it up and then getting back into it. And then when you're back into it, that it's not just all the same type of running, that you have like you have a long run day, you have a shorter run, you have a rest day, you have a hill type session, you have aerobic, like thresholdy type stuff. And that variation on the body is brilliant. So let's see my score. What didn't I answer? Oh, this one. I would say 3 on that. I have a good mix, but I could have a better mix. 33. Okay, and I'll give you like a little score like that. As I said, made this up with came up with the questions, but I've only, it's kind of raw. So I'll put this on the website. It'll be everardpilates.com/running scorecard. I think that's what I'll use. Okay. Hopefully I'm going to just pay someone to get this up and running. I tried to do it myself, but it was a waste of time. A waste of time trying to do it because I've never done any of that stuff in my life. Oh my God, I hope that was sharing. That's share, Mike? No.
No, but I get you.
Okay. I'll just share it for 2 seconds. So people
no, you weren't during the second half, but I got it.
So yeah, it's a scorecard like this. So you have your structured training. Oh my God, that's annoying that wasn't sharing. But anyway, hopefully individual training, accountability, running economy, injury prevention for like strength or Pilates or rehab, injury prevention for stretching or foam rolling, kind of massage work or whatever you're doing, technique, like doing your exercises and varying your exercises in your week. They're like kind of ones. We'll be putting that up. Look, that'll just motivate me now. I'll have to get that up. So that'll be on everardpilates.com/ I'll show you the one I tried. So it'll be everardpilates.com/ running scorecard. I tried get it up, but it's like not working yet. Okay, page not found. I wonder was it? Yeah, well, say running scorecard. I'll make that up anyway. Okay. Do you have any questions on that, Mike?
No, I think that's all very straightforward. I'm following the Pilates. Actually, I have one question on the Pilates actually. You've the main class, right? And you've the 20-minute blitz, and then there's the back Pilates.
Yeah.
I do the main class, we'd say on a Monday or a Tuesday, and I do the back, or do the blitz then on a Friday. But I was wondering, should I be doing the back Pilates as my second class? Like, is there a different variety, or what is the back Pilates versus
the back
main?
Pilates is just the exact same class. It's 35 minutes, but it's an easier version of the class. So what you could do what you could do is just do a different week of it. So say one of the weeks, you say week 1, right? Just go back to like week 5 of the previous course and do the back Pilates one.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, I get you. So the back Pilates is just the same thing, slightly easier. Grand.
Yeah. It is. It's just the class can be a little bit intense, so like the other one is slightly easier.
Yeah. Cool. You can nearly do that as a second class in the week, or maybe do.
I would do it as a second class in the week, but I would do it from a different week.
Yes, because it's a variety, slightly
just
different.
Get the variety in, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
And it's a nice top up. If you did like 1 to 4, 2 to 5, 3 to 6, 7, 4 to 8, or 3 to 7, 4 to 8, and do it that way.
Yeah, that's perfect. And just the other one is I think the training sessions there are great. I'm following the General 5K right now.
Brilliant.
It's great. I don't have to think about it.
This makes that's great. Thanks, Mike. And you would have done, and I find that's why a lot of people I know you did marathons as well, but the one thing people are not doing well for 5Ks is they're not doing the same structure. People love, the marathon day is a buzz. But I think what people are really getting out of that is they have like a 16-week plan to follow, and it's like they feel like, I'm getting training. Whereas then you go back to doing park runs or 5Ks and it's just kind of random. Like they're like, oh, what will I do today? And I know myself personally, anytime I'm thinking, what will I do today? it's 10 times harder, 10 times harder. Because then you're like, oh,
Yeah, I'm the
you
same.
can't
I
have
need
that
a plan.
mental,
I need
yeah.
something like, even though like it's there, I know it's there. I don't even know until the day that I'm doing it what it is, but I know there's a plan, and that's good.
Yeah, I was doing a session with my friend today, but I knew like I was just I just didn't want to do one on my own. So I was like, he said, like, I was like, here, what are you doing? So like, that's like that forward planning of like, look, we'll do one. I'm not joking. We were on the lot, like 4 seconds from starting. He's like, oh, we need to do these in say 72. It's like, okay, Jesus, I thought we were going to be doing them like 80-second 400s. It's like, dial this in. But like, so you don't need to, it doesn't need to be something you need to be worrying about, but you just need to know, doing it this time, look it up. All right, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'll be doing
Brilliant.
the marathon later on in the season, but it's good to have this just to comes
Well,
every
that's the way
Sunday
I
and
think.
just follow it
Someone else
away.
was asking me, she's doing Berlin. I was like, do a 5K, do something early, and just keep your long run. Like, you shouldn't just don't drop your long run back less than 90 minutes, Mike. Even on the schedule, most times they're like from between 60 and 90, but you just keep it at 90.
Yeah, yeah. I'm probably. I need to build it to 90. I think it's around the hour, but I will do that. I've been there before,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I need
Bill,
to start
but
that maybe
but even
next
from
month.
now, like, start doing like, because if
Yeah,
you're going to go 65, 70, 75, then go back to 60.
yeah,
And
that's
then I
perfect.
go 70, 75, 80, back to 60. And then you're probably back into a marathon block anyway. But, like 85, 90, 90, 60, so just get used to then doing like three, because then it's not this big ass jump when we go back into it. It's like, well, I've kept some kind of long run in there. That's the only thing I'd say for people doing a 5K block. Everyone else, it's like this speed work will really help, gets turnover in the legs, etc.
That's brilliant. Good stuff.
Bit freaked I wasn't showing that, but sure, look, people can follow along on the everywherepilates.com/scorecard. I'm just going to get onto a guy to put that up on the website now. Okay. Thanks a million, Mike. See you guys. See you, everybody.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Everything.